Welcome everybody to week number 2, day number 2 of Pyramid. Today we're going to be going over sessions 4, 5, and 6. We do have a couple new folks in the room today. So if we could, I know we did this last week, but we'll just go around again and say our names. Did you have something?
I was just going to don't forget to introduce yourself if you don't know everybody. Or do you already?
Yes, that's thank you very much. And I guess I'll start with myself. And for the people that were already here, sorry you're hearing this again, but my name is Lacey, and I work at Early Childhood Options as Community and Family Support Specialist. And like I said, I'm going through a certification process. So we'll have everyone go around, and you can say your name if you were here last week. And then for the people that weren't here last week, we shared our name, where we work, what age group we work with, and how many years we've been working in early childhood. So Colleen, is it okay? Can I ask you to go first?
Yeah, I'm Colleen. I work at Summit County Preschool in administration, so I kind of work with all the kiddos and a lot of the parents. What was the other part? Sorry.
How many years have you been in childhood?
3.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Susan. I work at Lake Dillon Preschool. I work with the 4 and 5-year-old the preschool classroom and school-wide curriculum and special education. New role at Lake Dillon this year. And then I've been in early childhood and special education for 16 years.
Hey guys, I'm Jess. I work also at Lake Dillon Preschool. I've been there for almost 9 years and working with children for about 15 years.
I'm Danny. I work at Timberline Learning Center. I work in a 1-year-old room, and I've only been there for a month, but I've been doing early childhood stuff for about 4 years.
Great.
Maria. I also work at Timberline Learning Center. I work in the toddler room. I just started like 3 weeks ago, but I've been working with kids for about 5 years.
I'm Megan. I work at Carriage House in Breckenridge. This is my second year with the preschool kids. This is my second year in early childhood. I taught special ed at a secondary level for 5 years prior to this.
I'm Kelsey. I also work at Carriage House. Been there about a year, and I'm with 3 and 4-year-olds.
My name is Shelly Daleshire, and I worked as a early childhood educator and early childhood special educator for a long time. And my current role is the early childhood coordinator for the school district.
My name is Adriana, and I work at Early Childhood Options as well. And I work with kids from 0 to 5. And I've been in that position for a couple months.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing, everybody. And we don't want to forget Catherine, too. Do you want to share with us, too?
Hey everybody. I know a lot of you, but not all of you. So I'm Catherine Orr, and I work at Early Childhood Options with Lacey as an early childhood mental health consultant. And primarily I work in Head Start classrooms around Summit County with teachers on social and emotional development of kiddos in their class. And then I am a certified Pyramid Plus trainer as well. So I'll be co-training all these sessions with Lacey and giving some support to her.
So, you'll be hearing from both of us. Well, since we're co-training, we'll be splitting up sessions and stuff like that. So you won't just have to listen to me talk all day. You'll get some Catherine too. So then, thank you everybody. Before we get started with the presentation and the content, I want to make sure that everyone has the zip drives that I handed out last time, or if you're new, I want to give you a zip drive. So these are what's going to have this PowerPoint that you're seeing. Let me go grab one more. Which one is?
Nice.
So I'll give you guys a minute to go ahead and plug those into your computers. Locate sessions 1 through 18. We're going to be starting with session 4. Excuse me. And actually, while I have you guys here too, did everyone that was here last week, did everyone get my email? Some of your directors gave me their email addresses, and I asked them to forward it on to you with the link that wouldn't work last time to the video. Did everyone get that? Cool. So was Was everyone able to find session 4? Perfect. Okay, great. So session 4, defining social emotional development and evidence-based practices. There's that term, evidence-based practices, that we've been talking about so much. For starters, we just want to thank our funders, and I know we thanked them last week, so I won't go over all of these again. They're all there. You guys can read them if you would like. Locally, we also want to thank ECO and each of your centers for sending you here, and the Community and Senior Center. So this is today's agenda. We're going to be, going through the PowerPoints, watching a couple videos, doing a couple activities. A few learning objectives for today. We're going to talk a lot about temperament and attachment and do some fun activities, watch some good videos. And you'll really just kind of gain an understanding of how temperament and attachment relate to one another and how they affect your interactions with children and building positive relationships. So a few logistics, and especially for the guys that are new here today, I wanted to bring to everyone's attention the parking lot, and I know we talked about this last week, but so the parking lot, it's right behind you on the wall, it's that piece of paper right there. There are markers in the middle of the table and pens and stuff. If you ever have a question that you maybe don't want to ask out loud, or we've already moved on and you thought of a question later, the parking lot is a great place to go over and write it up on the wall. Or if we're headed off on a tangent and we need to keep on schedule, we'll put it on the parking lot and we'll come back and address it later when we have a little bit more time. So that is for you guys, feel free to go up there anytime. We also did some ground rules when we were here last Thursday. My ground rules piece of paper got a little bit beat up. It looks like someone took a bite out of it. But those were the ground rules that we came up with last time. We had the Vegas rule and about changing names, the Vegas rule being what happens here stays here. Putting your cell phones on vibrate. And then a big one for me is taking care of your own needs. If you need to go out and answer the phone, you need to drink water, you guys are adults, go ahead and do that. That being said, does anyone have any, perfect example, great job, Shelly. Does anyone have any ground rules that they'd like to add?
Sorry, no, but I can't open the disc. I don't know, it's just saying that I don't have permission to see it. It's a new computer, I don't know if I can do
Grant your
changes.
permission.
Huh?
Grant your permission, please.
I grant you permission. USBs cannot be opened.
I'm like, is it?
I've never seen that before. It is just a PDF file. I can get you another zip drive, but we can try a different one maybe.
Okay.
I've never seen that before.
I know.
It literally says you do not have permission to open us.
The new computer, I don't know.
Wait, Kelsey, you were here last week.
Yeah.
Oh, you worked last week?
Yeah.
Wait, with a different computer though? Okay, so it's something to do with a setting on your computer
Yeah.
then, more than likely. I think maybe what we would do in this case is just ask Kelsey to look on someone else. I mean, you can try another zip drive, but it's probably your computer.
Yeah, I forgot that you did last week. Yeah, it's definitely, it must just be some setting or something.
Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah, if that doesn't work for some bizarre reason that I wouldn't understand, maybe if you could just look on with someone next to you.
Okay.
Like take a shower so they should smell better. Yeah, so see if you can play with it a little bit.
Okay.
It must just be a weird
It took
setting.
me a while to get mine going last year.
I'm just trying to oh wait, it's going now, so.
Oh, you're kidding?
Oh, it works now? See, it's because I granted you permission. I have the power.
Okay, awesome.
So a few more logistics. Does everyone know where the restrooms are? Know where, water fountain is if you need those things? Okay. So then another thing I wanted to talk about the zip drives. If you go to the end of your PowerPoint, and it's sometimes hard to flip back and forth, so I wanted to locate the handouts beforehand. If you go to the end of the PowerPoint, there are all sorts of handouts that are full of really awesome resources. On page 23, there's actually a really great handout about social emotional development and age indicators for different age groups, and examples and things like that. And I really like that handout because it's laid out very simply. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes to just locate the handout. It'll come over really quick. now the first thing that we'll kind of talk about is where social emotional development fits in this pyramid model. And it's really important to remember that acknowledging the importance of social emotional development is a foundational and universal level of that pyramid model. It's something that's so important to be aware of when building positive relationships with young children. So social emotional development is composed of the behaviors, attitudes, and effects integral to a child's interactions with adults and peers. That being said, there can be a few challenges in defining social emotional development. Of course, depending on who you talk to, what their interpretation is. But we do know that emotional behavior is internal. It's variable depending on each child. And the big thing that I wanted to bring up in this slide is that family and cultural attributes definitely play a role. And we'll talk about kind of the role they play a little bit more in depth later in these slides. So what is social emotional development? So it is the developing capacity to form close and secure adult and peer relationships. And that's just talking on, a level with anyone, not even young children. To explore the environment and learn trust, self-awareness, and autonomy. I think those are the three really big things to take away from this slide. Now, as I mentioned before, we're going to talk about temperament and attachment. And it's really important to understand the relationship between those two things. They positively or negatively affect each other. Understanding temperament and attachment really helps us to better understand the child, which helps us to better work with that child, especially children with challenging behaviors. So first we're going to talk about temperament. Has everyone heard that word before? Yes, maybe? Yeah. So we do know that it appears to be biologically based. It's fairly consistent over time. And it affects the child's reaction to things like the people that they're around, the environment that they're in. That being said, attachment is something different. Attachment is a pattern of the interactions between a child and a caregiver. It's a building relationship over time, whereas temperament might be something that a child is born with. So there are three types of temperament: flexible, fearful, and feisty. I'm sure you guys can all think of a child that would fall in each one of those categories. I know I can, that's for sure. And I can say for myself too, I've also found myself in each one of those categories at one point or another, usually all in one day. So there are 9 temperament traits: activity level, biological rhythms, predictability of hunger, sleep, stuff like that. Approach and withdrawal. That is a good one to kind of highlight just because it's a response to change, a response to new situations. Mood, which for me, of course, depends a lot if I'm hungry or not. Intensity of reaction, sensitivity, adaptability, distractibility, and persistence. So those are the 9 things that are really important to remember. There's traits that will present themselves when working with children. So now we're going to watch a video. It's about 8.5 minutes long, talking about those 3 temperament types. Does anyone remember what those 3 were? I know it's early in the morning.
Flexible, fearless, feisty.
Well done. Thank you, Danny. So now we'll watch a quick video.
All children.
And I also wanted to mention that while we're going through this session, we're going to do an activity later about this too. But keep in mind your own temperament. Keep in mind where you are. Thank you, Catherine. That's something that's so important to remember when you're working with children, how things affect you, because that's going to affect how you work with a child. So keep that in mind as you watch this video.
Grim display temperament. Some children tend to be brash and intense. Some easygoing. Some don't like to be held